this episode today, I'm honored to have Brian Knapp, Regional Sales Manager for QLF Agronomy, to dive into how QLF sustains plants and sugars through carbon and soil health. We'll highlight several studies on cotton, wheat, and all crops, explore how these carbon-based inputs support healthier soil and biology, and talk about whether or not improving yield, an improvement in soil health is always helpful to improving yield. And I just want to welcome you today, Brian. And
thank you, Caleb.
Tell us a little bit about Brian and your quest to here. And then, that we're talking about agronomy, but QLF stands for quality liquid feeds.
Yes.
And we don't feed plants, do we?
Yeah, we do. That's the interesting part about this. I'm a regional sales manager for the company, and I live in Southeast Iowa, but I oversee a big part of the Mid-South and the South for the company. QLF, like you mentioned, Caleb, is a 50-year-old family-owned feed company that deals with ruminant nutrition on a daily basis. And in a rumen, there's more biology in one single ruminant animal than there is people that'll ever walk on the face of this earth. And so we were very astute to things that when we did it in the feed world, we realized that how we fed the biology in the rumen affected performance. And 15 years ago now, we started down this agronomy path where we use Louisiana sugarcane molasses as a base of a lot of our products to achieve that feeding of the biology in the soil. And if we go foliar, it's like getting a blood transfusion to a plant. So we can improve not only plant health, but performance along the line.
And you're feeding, so everything is active in that ruminant active in our soil.
Yeah, it's in a different form, but it's still biological.
And it has to be fed and maintained.
Yeah.
And so that's so how many years into their 50-year-old company did they figure out they need to be in the agronomy business?
So about 35 years in, we're just almost 50, and we're 15 years this year, I think it is, on the agronomy side of it. So we were kind of into this whole soil health world before it became the hot topic. We were at the very cusp of realizing and working on this whole concept of improving microbial activity.
Yep. And like you said, it's the hottest topic in agriculture today.
Yeah. It's where we're headed.
It's where we're headed. And so one thing before we jump in here, I'm Caleb Dinwiddie with the Root Cause Podcast, and we've been using your product on the farm for, I think, 4 years.
Yeah.
And we're going to jump in here with Boost, number one, and that's y'all's really big flagship product.
Correct.
And I started using Boost on the farm for, I was really tired of, overpaying for adjuvants that I had no confidence in, and paying, pretty big prices and still having a few drift problems and all that. So we first started using QLF for drift control.
Yeah.
And that only. And we didn't even know that it was capable of doing all this other. And, that led me to, we started trying to siphon nitrogen with it. And then I did the smell test. And if you haven't done the smell test with QLF, reach out to us. It's worth doing. If you're buying nitrogen and you're not protecting it, and with your nose, it just changes your perspective on the product.
Absolutely. So one of the things we realized early on with the Boost product, which is a very high molasses-based product, high carbon-based product, that the second you mix it 10%, you replace 10% of your liquid nitrogen with Boost, the smell is gone. And it's not just masking the smell. We've taken it to the labs. We put it under the meters. Most of the time, straight UAN in a lab will gas off or volatilize off at over 100 parts per million. We knock it down to 5 or less parts per million volatility. And when your nose will go to 30. So you can buy a few products that will kind of knock down the smell, but it won't take it as low as what we go when we do that. So if we're out there applying UAN, we've eliminated virtually the volatility of that product.
So by applying that, I mean, UAN is a salt product,
Exactly.
which is detrimental to the biology, the life of the soil.
Yep.
You're just reducing the shock of that application, which is necessary
Exactly.
for yield.
Yeah. So the other part of that then, besides knocking down the volatility, where the carbon comes into play is it complexes with those salts, and it safens or protects. So we get not only then a safening effect from the damage that it could do, but we also turn that, when we put that combination together, into a microbial superfood based on carbon to nitrogen ratios, and it can go into your soil and feed the biology and help with residue breakdown and all of that.
Yeah, and on our farm also we're big users of organics and believe in it, and because the fertilizer is in your truck, it's a quantitative thing, but it gets in the plant through biology.
Exactly.
It goes through the whole cycle.
Yep.
So you're just taking care of the family while you're making this necessary application.
Exactly. It's like you and I, Caleb. I mean, we got to eat. Most of us eat 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And feeding that biology, whether it's applied or it's what's in your soil, is what we do.
Right. Yeah. So I got a hard question. Can you take a hard one?
Oh, let's try. Let's see.
Have you ever seen a truckload of carbon?
No.
I know it's the confusing part.
Yeah, but especially with what we deal in. I mean, you could go back and say, well, yeah, coal's carbon. Everything we got out here has got carbon in it, but not in the context that we're talking about. By putting it in the soil, you just don't find that in a truck running around down here.
Yeah. So first thing we'll go to is a Kansas wheat nitrogen with boost trial you've got here.
Yeah.
So on the left side of this is UAN and thiosulfate.
Yep.
And on the right side is the 10% mix. So
Yes.
you reduce the total nitrogen by 10% and included that in boost.
Yes.
So here on our farm, we did some 40 and 50 gallon UAN applications.
Yep.
And we marked those down, 10%, but we put in the 5% of boost. And as for a nitrogen safener, it's an effective way to safen your nitrogen.
Exactly.
It's cost effective.
It's very, very cost effective. We're not adding very much when we do that, when we replace 10% of your nitrogen to the cost per acre. Extremely cost effective, and it does safen, especially if we're streaming on wheat. It'll safen it, and the pictures there, if you look, that picture is taken about 36 hours after application. The difference in the green
36
color.
hours.
Yeah, that's a 36-hour picture. So
that's
a definite effect. Yeah, feeding that old biology.
So the next picture's there with the plants. You're just showing there the root mass, the not the root mass, but the size of the plant.
That's out of the same field, and it's showing the reduction in burn and damage that we got. Anytime when we talk about safening, what we want to do is we want to reduce the damage to the leaf on that plant. And when you do that, you keep your photosynthesis at a high level versus having a damaged plant out there that can't photosynthesize.
So one thing we farmers forget is we're running factories on photosynthesis.
Yep.
That's the name of our whole game.
Yep.
And so it really enhances that and stops the burn. And
exactly.
Because you're right there at those peak growing days. Anytime you're applying nitrogen, and if you don't set that plant back, then you're
gaining.
You're gaining.
Yeah.
So, well, that's pretty interesting, especially out here now because of the price of inputs. You got to be able to cut back and feel good about it. We can't cut yield,
right?
But we got to cut inputs,
right?
So,
well, and if you look at all of our data, and we've been working at this pretty hard, not just to say, oh, this is what we think we can do, but we know when we replace 10% of your nitrogen in terms of gallons, we see a bump in performance. We're not giving up yield. We're seeing an increase in highly available nitrogen in the soil and an increase in P and K and more retention of sulfur. All of that stuff is in our data where we've done nitrate leaching and all of that kind of stuff. So we've proven that this idea of enhancing biological activity, we can create a better economical environment while we increase the yield.
Yeah. So when I told the guys on the farm we'd be putting 5 gallons or so out in an application, they were like, of molasses, that's like concrete. So you might just go into
Sure.
to that side of it, and one of my favorite things to say is, you're as slow as watching molasses fall out of a bucket.
Yeah.
But these molasses do flow.
Oh yeah. And as we've developed this, the first year, 15 years ago, the products were made in the feed mill, like the feed products, and it didn't take long to figure out that what goes through a 2-inch hose on a feed truck or a feed system doesn't go through the tip on a sprayer. So we worked extremely hard to get filtered and to get flowability into these products, and so therefore we can bring them out with confidence. To the farm.
I mean, I'm not going to say we've never had an issue,
right?
But we've sprayed many tons of this on the farm, and we've had maybe one. So it's not a big issue,
right? No, it's not. I mean, we're across millions of acres at this point, and usually, if we're going to have a little bit of a hiccup or something, it's very fixable, very easy, and we move on.
It might have been because we left something in the sprayer.
Could be, or it could be, sometimes compatibility of mixing while we mix with a lot of stuff. We just have to always have open and upfront conversations about what your plans are so that we kind of know what we're up against, and then we can help you around that. But no, we all of our products tend to mix very, very well and flow very well.
So in my first time meeting you, you said about a Dr. Jerry Hatfield.
Yeah.
Talk about his quote that you visited, you shared with me, and I walked away and thought, I don't know about all that. But in hindsight, it is something because of the statistics of what goes on in our soil and our digestive in animals and humans is unbelievable.
Exactly. So I had the opportunity a few years ago to meet Dr. Hatfield, and big soil scientist. I mean, the guy's brilliant. And he made the comment at the first meeting I was in with him. He said that every day during the growing season, your plants are putting enough energy or sugar or food down to feed per acre to feed 2, if not 3 elephants. Well, that's kind of impressive, right? You don't think about the photosynthesis that we're doing, and the real purpose of root exudates is to feed the biology, or as we like to call them with QLF, is the livestock that's in your soil. To enhance that process. So when you look at what we do, we're trying to figure out how can we feed more elephants per acre. How many times do you go out and look at your 160 or however many acres is out there and take that times 2 or 3 and envision that you got that many elephants walking around out there? And it's really interesting that what we do when we feed biology or we feed the plant is to improve the photosynthetic process, more root mass, bigger leaves, and that kind of thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So on the daily, we're producing that much energy.
Yeah.
And so it's we just really we don't realize that.
We just don't think about it. Yeah.
Right.
All things being equal, photosynthesis is the game changer.
It's a game changer. And so with the Boost product, it has many other things too. It's in furrow to feed the roots. It's you might just go into its other uses. So
our products in general, we do have an in-furrow starter. We can use Boost in furrow, and the idea there is to feed the biology in that furrow or in that trench to get more nutrient uptake. A lot of the work we did with Dr. Bilo early on at the University of Illinois was more nutrient accumulation when we put the concept in furrow. And it goes hand in hand with what you do in organics, very similar to that, and we just enhance that whole process. And we found out very early on, and everybody kind of knows this, but we can affect root mass. Well, that affects also leaf surface area. And if you can affect that ahead of V6, then you can affect yield season long when you do that. So Boost with liquid nitrogen, we go foliar. With Boost in certain applications where we can enhance the photosynthesis. We also have a molasses-based product called Amino 15, which is amino acids, molasses, and a urea source that enhance and not only root exudate production, but also plant health above the ground. And I think the one thing, if you're thinking about foliar, your foliar program should be designed to pull more out of the soil that you've already spent money on to make that plant grow. And that's very, very critical to enhance that whole, again, going back to root exudates and photosynthesis process.
So not the money in the checking account, the money that's in the savings account that you can't touch.
Exactly. That's tied up already, that kind of thing.
And in a crop year like environment we're in, that's so important. And it's not mining the soil.
No.
Because there's plenty there.
A lot.
I mean, we're feeding 2 elephants.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
per day. So that's not a big.
It's already there, with the bank we got there.
Yep. So one other thing here with Boost, this year we didn't get our cotton planted. We still have our seed.
Yeah.
So we're ready for 2026. We treated the seed, couldn't return them.
Yeah.
And just never got a window to plant our cotton. But you got some exciting things here out of Arkansas.
Yeah.
You hired a research firm to do some work.
Independent research facility.
Yeah. And because a cotton plant is so it appreciates high management, timely management, and you're already making a lot of applications.
Exactly.
It's a little different than grain farming. But here on our first picture, I mean, it's unreal, and we don't have yield data yet, but we should.
Yep, and we'll have quality data.
And we'll have quality data, third party. Yep. So this is quite the difference. So 6 gallons of Boost was in this first slide. You got 42 bowls versus 25.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a scholar in school, but I can equate that's more.
Yeah.
So
and we've seen more 5-lock bowls versus 4-lock bowls in the process too. And what we're trying to figure out. Instead of assuming that the moron theory is what we want to do, we want to try to get the timing down and see kind of where to go. How this really come about, we knew with everything else we do that we could probably have a place in cotton. But this last March when we were at the gin show, a gentleman from Mississippi come up and said, I put a gallon on most passes, a half gallon on some passes, and I seen over a bale increase. Well, it don't take me too much being a northerner even to figure out there was a really economic boom for that guy, what he saw.
Yeah. So under that, I mean, 6 gallons of Boost, you're talking $30-40 an acre, and a bale of cotton, which is not what it should be.
Right.
It's not bringing, but this may be the only way to make cotton farming profitable.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we're also tracking that quality, because my understanding is that guys get paid for the quality, and if we can affect both, that'll be huge with some applications. Yeah,
and the bale, the extra lint is imperative. So, and you're already making the applications.
Exactly.
So it's just a win-win, and it should reduce your insect pressure as well.
Right. Anytime we can affect carbohydrate production in the plant, we get our Brix levels up, we get nutrient density up, insect pressures definitely go down.
So then we go to the second slide there, and it's it's taken in August, and it's a 4 gallons of Boost per acre, and I'm assuming that's broke up over several passes.
Exactly. Yeah.
But still, we got 28 bowls versus 21.
Yep.
11 5-locks versus 8.
Yeah.
So just steady here. You can just see. And a cotton plant is not known for a big root system.
Sure.
This root system is not anything to be ashamed of.
Right. Exactly.
So it's something to see there. And then you go to the next page at I'll mess that town up. Where's it at? Altus.
It's in southwestern Oklahoma.
Irrigated, I'm sure.
Irrigated, and they had plenty of rain out there this year on top of that.
So they struggled to get their crop planted as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And so we still got huge results here.
Yeah,
huge results. Pretty amazing. And just at the end here, like you said, here's another one on 926, 6 gallons of Boost in the versus. But we'll have real yield data, and we'll have application to where.
Yep, exactly.
Is a half gallon as effective as a gallon? And,
exactly.
And one thing that producers need to understand is, when I hear those gallon rates,
right,
it is kind of, you can't do that on totes on big trucks today.
No.
So you've got to hot mix these loads, and the hot mixing is not a big problem.
No, not at all. And there's products out there that will use a quart, but it's awful hard to really get coverage and understand that, if you will, with smaller amounts to move things really the way we do,
right?
In performance or in soil health or biology or whatever. With that, Boost itself has 3.3 pounds of sugar per gallon, plus all of the nutrients and everything that come right out of the plant. That's where we start seeing our slogan now, more than just sugar, come into play, because it's got all of the natural hormones and everything in it, that enzymes, metabolites, and stuff.
So you gave us this swag here. I didn't know alligators ate sugar.
Well,
do they?
No, that's kind of just a little play off of where it comes from, being out of Louisiana, and that's kind of become our mascot, the Gator Dan of the deal. So
okay,
that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. So talk a little bit more about other crops, corn, soybeans.
Sure. Sure. So in corn, the in-furrow starter, we get that plant up, we get it going. Like I said earlier with the Dr. Belo work, why we had more nutrient accumulation, more biomass early, and that equated to yield. I think his comment was between the molasses base and the MKP in it, it was worth 7 to 8 bushel over a traditional starter. Then we go, if we go foliar on corn, we can either go boost early, like ahead of V6, and we can affect ear determination, like in your last pass chemical. Again, and you mentioned this earlier, I was going to touch on it. Everything we do, we try to do with a pass you're currently doing, so we're not out there causing more expense that way. And then late, if you're doing a fungicide pass, the Amino 15 product works very, very well with the molasses base, with the urea and the amino acids, and we consider it a safe nitrogen product, not a slow. It's going to get your nutrients in there when you need them quicker. On the soybean side of things, if you're somebody doing in furrow, a couple gallon of Boost with some water in furrow does a phenomenal job of setting that plant up, improving the root mass for later on when that plant's going to need to pull nutrients out of the ground. If we're looking at, say, a chemical pass, the beans that have been here the last few years typically getting dinged or burned, or you see them cupping, 85% of the time we'll take all of that damage out, so we keep that plant growing. We've seen as much as 3-4 weeks later, almost a doubling in lateral branches and leaf mass on a bean plant at that point. And then if we go foliar in that fungicide pass, we're basically looking at almost a doubling in nodules. Yeah. So it's all about carbohydrate production, not us just directly, but what we're doing to the plant with firing that thing up, and giving it a sports drink, if you will.
So here on our farm, Silver Oak Farms, we planted a lot of non-GMO beans for the first time, and we sprayed Blazer. We sprayed some old chemistry, and with the Boost product, it wasn't like what I remembered when we quit using those products. It really lowered that shock, and the non-GMO, that's a different issue. There's some premium. It's hard. It's hard money what money isn't hard to earn in agriculture?
Exactly right now.
But it's just something we were doing differently, and it's the Boost product just showed. I mean, and you talk about your data, your research, and if it's available, because I should have sprayed some beans with no Boost versus Boost. Yeah. But for some reason, I always think about that after you're done. Yeah, exactly. So y'all do have a vast thing of
we do.
Research.
We've been collecting data, both third party, independent, and then like say at Silver Oak Farms, where we go out and we gather data off of farms. It seems like everybody wants to know, well, what happened locally? If we're sitting in Trenton, Tennessee today, they don't really care what happened in Iowa, and that's true, and that's the way it should be. It's the concept is the same, but we still need to prove basically sometimes what happens locally, and we do that. Soybeans, and what I was talking about, a lot of times we're looking at 4 to 6 bushel, and I can say that 85% of the time. That's the window we hit. We're not perfect, but we can really
You're
predict
not perfect.
Yeah. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. That's
Everybody wants us to be just like everything else. Right?
Oh, yeah. That's a shame. Yeah. And it also matters how active the farm is, the life in the soil.
Oh, yeah.
From your first application.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, it can make a difference. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. And we'll talk about your other products. We've used the seaweed product.
Yep.
The kelp.
So we have a kelp product. It's specific off of the coast of Africa. And what's unique about that one, it is more beneficial to early root growth. And if you look at, we were just reviewing that this week, total biomass, you will have more biomass early from root growth on the kelp that we use. And then later it will still give you a good response, but compared to some others, maybe not as much later. But when you look at a total sum of both, the kelp gives you the most biomass, which again is performance. It's root exudates, it's plant health, it's all of those kind of things that we're striving for.
Right.
And then we have a couple other products. We got an in-furrow product for micronutrients. It's a zinc, manganese, copper, boron type of deal. And we've got a boron product that go foliar. Those are both dual chelated. And it's not just boron. And we believe that very, very, very strongly, whether it's the starter being the zinc, the lead, or the boron on the foliar. Because if you think about what's in molasses, it's got all of the nutrients. Well, that's what the biology needs. So when we're going in furrow with our added micronutrients, or we're going foliar, our goal is also feed biology. And so it takes all of that. We don't just live on sugar. We live on steak and potatoes. We live on hamburgers and everything else. Right.
Yeah. So it's a quantitative filter.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So the statement is, I've been reading it a lot. Do you feel agriculture has the ability to clean up human health?
Oh, yeah.
Where we're not having such epidemics?
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt. I firmly believe that. And a lot of it has to do with nutrient density in our foods to help us, and as well as different things that we do with the soil can lead to healthier humans and crops. I mean, one of the things, before I came to QLF, the guy was a dairy nutritionist, and his fertility company, the first 400 were dairies, because he improved the health of those dairies and had better production, but better health of cows too. And so it's all falls into line.
And that cow, so the hard thing about agriculture is there's so few crops.
Yeah.
You make 40 crops. Yeah. Well, and them cows, you could see a change week over week.
Oh, day to day some days.
Yeah. So it's much easier to measure.
Yeah.
So what about the environment? You think we farmers can help clean up the earth?
Oh, I definitely think, based on what we're seeing, how biology, just use that for a minute, can help us retain more nutrients in the soil. We can reduce nitrate leaching, so any of that. And we know we have biology in the soil that is biosanitation, if you will. And it's true with us and the atmosphere and everything. There's stuff out here that's good. And, basically what we're trying to do is we're just trying to be the good guys that outrun the bad guys.
So like I said, we're organics people.
Sure.
With the Thrivability Carbon program. Mm-hmm. So all of these products are going to enhance your carbon sequestration.
Exactly. If you look at what organic matter shows up on your soil test, it's all about carbon sequestration or the destruction of it or whatever. So anytime you increase that plant process, you're going to increase that dramatically.
So one thing we've also talked about that's kind of something to me, dead biology is what drives humus and organic matter.
Exactly.
Not the 300 bushels of corn stalks on top of the ground, the fodder.
It all has to go through that biological process to be broke down. And when we do that, that's what creates the humus and all of our nutrient holding ability in the soil.
And water holding, because I mean, here on the tail end, the first end of our harvest here in 2025 was good.
Yeah.
Everything on the back end has fell off because we went 70 days with no rain.
Sure.
After unbelievable rains.
Right.
And so that's the only way to shelter your farm from these storms is to go about it that way.
Yeah, disease suppression and all that stuff is affected by what we're talking about by increasing soil health.
Yeah, and in your opinion here with all the products, y'all have how many products?
We got five fertilizer products and then the two micronutrients and the one Kelpack.
Yeah. So there's with healthy soil, you need nitrogen.
Yeah.
But there's a way with that to get your crop off to a great start in a very efficient, cheap manner.
Right. I mean,
plus later you can keep adding on with foliar.
Yeah, and I mean, we have all of that kind of data to show how we are starting and continuing that process to keep releasing nutrients all season long that your crop can go after that's been tied up in your soil or get more out of what you're applying in a given year.
And that's so the living biology is there. If you have that big, you plant and you get a 15-inch rain like we did April 2nd here, you know, that biology is much more sustainable than the elements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's one thing is hard to comprehend, isn't it?
It is.
That it's that.
Yeah.
So it's very important to take care of. What'd you say earlier? Y'all are counting the cows in the soil? Or what'd you say?
Livestock.
Counting the livestock. So that's that is a very, very unique way to think about it because these weather events are really tough.
Yeah.
And
well, if you look at our data, the 2 years that was a big piece of our nitrate leaching studies, they were classified as wet and wetter. And we actually got the pictures where there's water standing on the fields, and we were still able to sustain high level crop production, and that shows right there that the biological activity does what we say. It holds the nutrients and sustains it.
Yeah,
keeps it moving forward. So
one thing I do want the viewers to know: don't be scared of the gallons per acre.
Nope.
Cone bottom tanks are not. They're no more expensive than trucks.
No,
they're not cheap, but they're not. And the savings you get over buying truckload quantities.
Oh yeah.
And
pays for itself.
Yeah, and y'all have a good. I'll say this: y'all have a very high quality distribution system. It's you own your trucks.
Yeah,
and you do your own distribution and So with any part of that, you think the listeners should know what they're talking about? And
I just think the main thing is to know that we're here to walk beside you. You know, everybody has questions. We've worked very hard to put a team around all of this because anytime something, if you want to call it new, comes out in the industry or into a specific area, there needs to be an effort put forth to make sure that it works for everybody, and that's where we're at. We've worked really hard on making sure that the products flow and work for people in the industry with all the high-tech equipment we have and stuff. That would be, the thing I would say, and we're very upfront with the fact that we are still dealing with molasses, but as long as you kind of follow our guidelines and we have some recirculation available and stuff, it's not like it's going to fall out of bed and be a big problem, but we just know that we have to be on point, and it works well.
And I can attest it does. It does work well, and it as a farmer, unfortunately, it fits in every tank mix.
Yeah.
Because we're sitting here wanting to slash cost, and this is a different energy source for the plants than your traditional fertilizers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's a much more bang for your buck kind of return.
It's going to enhance what you're putting on instead of just being an equal to.
Right.
And that's a whole different concept. We've got some places that mix, say, Boost with 10% with UAN and put the same dollar amount on. Maybe they have to cut back an extra gallon, but their performance is better, so they don't have to chase their budget up. There's all kinds of ways to learn about this.
Like money.
Yeah, and you're still improving performance in your soil.
Yeah, And don't be intimidated. It's not that hard to mix. It's not a big deal. And the one good thing about it when we first started using it, your sprayers smell better.
Yeah.
They smell sweeter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Everything you do. I mean, if you're running around the house yard where your kids are playing, it's going to get it down. That's the one thing, University of Nebraska says it's the best drift control agent they've ever seen.
It is.
And so, you get if you think about putting a droplet of water on a table and you put a drop of Mountain Dew or pop and a drop of molasses, it's still going to be there versus when the water's gone.
That's true.
And so you're putting that down and then it's sticky and it's helping with all of those added benefits.
And that's how the fungi in our soil survives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, a big thanks today to Brian and the team at QLF Agronomy.
Yes,
That's
sir.
quality liquid feed, but
It's
agronomy. And for sharing how sugar and carbon-based nutrition can drive a plant stronger. And here we've got some big changes coming up soon, including a new online home for all our stuff, Rooted Ag Systems.
Yep.
And so stay tuned for all of that. And we need your follows and your likes and subscribe to us. And stay tuned for updates as we walk right alongside all these other farmers trying to figure out what works and what doesn't and how do we survive this crunch that we're in. And
exactly.
Anything you'd like to end with, we would we'd be glad.
Like Caleb said, like us on Facebook or your social media at QLF Agronomy, and we'll be putting posts out, and these guys will probably be sharing it too through their deal. We just appreciate the opportunity to be here.
And y'all do have a good, you do have a lot of this research on your YouTube channel.
Yeah. There's a lot of that, and we're working every day to improve that too. So otherwise, reach out to us and somebody will be glad to visit with you. Call Caleb up and we'll be in touch.
Yeah. So it's, we really appreciate you coming down today.
Thank you.
And that's a cut.